Hello, students! When you think about elections, what's the first thing that comes to mind? For most of us, it's that one day when everyone goes out to vote, right? But, that's just a small part of a much bigger picture. An election in India is actually a really long and detailed journey. So today, let's break down exactly how it all works, step by step.
So here's our plan for today. We're going to follow the entire process from the very start. We'll begin with understanding an election's long journey. Then we will see what it takes for someone to become a candidate. After that, we'll look at the Great Indian Campaign, see what happens on polling day, and finally find out how the votes are counted on counting day.
All right, let's start with our first topic. You see, an election is so much more than just a single day. Think about it for a moment. Conducting an election across a country as huge as India is a massive exercise. It's one of the biggest organizational challenges in the world. So to make sure everything happens smoothly and fairly, the entire process is broken down into carefully planned stages over many weeks. Okay, this timeline gives us a great picture of the whole journey. It all begins when the Election Commission announces the official dates. That's the starting gun. Then, candidates file their nominations. Once that's done, the campaign period begins. That's when you see all the posters and rallies. After that comes the main event, polling day, when we all go and cast our votes. And the final step is counting all those votes and declaring the results. Now, let's look at each of these stages a little more closely. So, once the election dates are announced, the next big question is, who are the people we can vote for? Let's move to our second section and explore what it takes to actually become a candidate.
Our system is very open. In principle, any citizen who is a voter can also become a candidate. There's just one key difference, and that's age. You can vote once you turn 18, but to stand as a candidate for the Lok Sabha, you have to be at least 25 years old. Now, usually, political parties select their candidates and give them what is called a party ticket. You can think of this ticket as the party's official permission to contest the election on their behalf.
Now, this next part is very important for us as voters. To ensure there is transparency, the Supreme Court has made a rule. Every single candidate must legally declare certain details. They have to declare if they have any serious criminal cases pending against them, they have to provide details of the assets and liabilities of their family, and they also have to declare their educational qualifications. All this information is made public so that voters can make an informed decision. All right, so the candidates are now finalized. And this is when the election enters its most visible and energetic phase. Our third section, the Great Indian Campaign. This is the time when parties and candidates go to the people to ask for their votes. So why is campaigning so important? Well, in a democracy, it is absolutely essential. The campaign period is the time for a free and open discussion. It gives people a chance to hear different leaders, to debate which party has better policies, and to decide who would form a better government for the country. To get the public's attention, parties often use short, powerful slogans. These slogans usually focus on a big issue. A very famous example comes from the 1971 Lok Sabha elections. The Congress Party used the slogan "Garibi Hatao," which means remove poverty. This clear promise helped them to connect with millions of voters. But can candidates do whatever they want during a campaign? No, absolutely not. To make sure the competition is fair, there is something called the Model Code of Conduct. The easiest way to understand it is to think of it like the rules of a game. All the political parties have agreed to follow these rules to make sure everyone gets an equal and fair chance to compete. So, what are some of these rules? Well, for example, no party or candidate can bribe or threaten voters. They cannot ask for votes in the name of caste or religion. And, very importantly, the party which is currently in power cannot use government resources, like official cars or aircraft, for its campaign. All these rules help create a level playing field for everyone. After all the speeches and promises of the campaign, the moment of decision finally arrives. We now come to our fourth section, polling day. This is the day when citizens exercise their most important democratic right, the right to vote. So, what happens when you go inside the polling booth? Let's walk through the steps. First, an election official will check your name on the voter list and verify your identity. Second, they will put a mark of indelible ink on your finger to show that you have voted. And third, you will go to the electronic voting machine, or EVM, to cast your vote in complete secrecy. And to guarantee fairness, every candidate is allowed to have their own representative,
called an agent, inside the polling booth. These agents sit there and observe everything to make sure that the voting takes place in a fair and proper manner. It's another important check to ensure the process is trustworthy. Once the polling is finished everywhere, the process moves to its final and most awaited stage, our fifth and final section, counting day. This is when the verdict of the people is finally revealed. After polling, all the EVMs are securely sealed and transported to a safe, guarded location. Then, on a fixed date, they are opened and the votes are counted. And just like on polling day, the agents of all the candidates are present there to watch the entire counting process. This ensures that the counting is also completely transparent.
Let's look at a real example to understand how the winner is decided. These are the results from the Gulbarga constituency in the 2014 Lok Sabha elections. As you can see, the candidate from the Indian National Congress got just over 50% of the votes. The candidate from the BJP got about 43%, and the rest went to other candidates.
This brings us to a very important point about our system. The candidate who gets the highest number of votes is declared the winner. It's as simple as that. This is called the first-past-the-post system. Think of it like a running race. The first person to cross the finish line wins. A candidate doesn't need to get a majority, that is, more than 50% of the votes. They just need to get more votes than any other candidate. Because we use electronic voting machines, this counting process is now incredibly fast. On counting day, usually within just a few hours, all the results are declared. And so it becomes very clear which party or coalition of parties will form the next government. So, we have journeyed through the entire election process, from the first announcement to the final results. We've seen the many steps and rules that are in place to make sure our elections are free and fair. This brings us to a bigger question to think about. A well-conducted process is one thing, but what is it that truly makes it democratic? That is something we will explore next, when we look at things like voter participation and how the election results are accepted by everyone.